Good afternoon, I'm Alyssa Wismar.
And I'm Rhiannon Cook.
And we're here with your afternoon announcements.
Stay updated on all the latest school news by reading our online newspaper, The Squire, at www.squirenews.com.
You can scan the QR codes around the school to access it. Also, follow The Squire on social media at EHS Squire on Instagram.
Attention all students. Reminder to all students that teachers are now rewarding positive behavior points on the PBIS Rewards app.
Students may be awarded points for showing integrity, kindness, and engagement throughout the school day. Check the app through ClassLink to find out how many points you've earned.
Tutoring is available after school on Mondays and Wednesdays in Miss Ludwig's room, G119, from 3:20 to 4:20.
Attention 6th to 8th graders. 21st Century is offering after-school homework help, academic enrichment, and a snack on Mondays through Thursdays. Applications are in the office. 8th grade. Your permission slips for the Robert H. Jackson field trip are due as soon as possible. Please turn them in to Mrs. Howe.
News from the Guidance Office. See the Guidance Office for scholarship opportunities.
It is currently scholarship season, so seniors will regularly need to check their emails for updates and deadlines regarding scholarships.
Students should be working on their CCR during advisory. See guidance or your advisory teachers with any questions.
Athletic news. Spring sports are now in session. Spring athletes are practicing and preparing. Best of luck!
PSSA tests and Keystone exams will be taking place this spring. W-IKE's Night Walking is here with some test-taking tips.
Like we all know, standardized testing is coming up. Whether it's PSSAs or the Keystones, Abe and Kyler are giving a night walking segment asking for tips.
Usually we're going to ask what advice he has for spring test takers.
Study hard, do your best on the test because the scores do matter, and get lots of rest the night before the test.
All right, thank you. We're here with Mrs. Jongus and we're going to ask, what advice do you have for spring test takers?
Get lots of sleep the night before. Bring in water or something to drink. Gum is a good thing. And then when you get into the test, do your very best so you pass.
All right, thank you.
We are here with Mrs. Ludwig, and we are wondering, what advice do you have for test takers this spring?
For doing well on the test, you need to slow down. You can sleep later. Look at what you're doing. Take your time. And do your level best. If you didn't enjoy taking it the first time, you're not going to enjoy taking it the second time. Read everything carefully and try to use a process of elimination. There's always a great answer, there's always a couple of ands, and there's always a stupid one. Find those first. Do that. You'll pass the test. Good luck.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Ludwig.
Okay.
Mrs. Haliva, and we were wondering, what advice do you have for test takers this spring?
Well, I would definitely say get a good breakfast. We do have breakfast here at school if you need to, but if you have some favorites at home, bring anything that you want, like a special maybe candy or gum, a bottle of water, and for sure, get your 8 hours plus of sleep each night.
All right, thank you very much. Cadence, and we were wondering, what advice do you have for test takers this spring?
Actually get sleep, and the answer isn't always C, so actually try.
All right, thank you, Cadence.
Kaimani, we're going to ask, what advice do you have for spring test takers?
Get sleep and get prepared for it.
Good answers. Thank you.
Now on to Notice News for the latest national and international news.
Food scientists have unveiled a new kind of meatball, made from an animal that went extinct thousands of years ago. Notice News has the story.
4,000 years ago, the woolly mammoth went extinct. But last week, scientists at a science museum in the Netherlands unveiled this, a massive meatball made from the DNA of the long-gone massive creatures.
We inserted the gene from the mammoth into these sheep cells and then overexpressed that gene really, really highly. So all that means is that that we could detect the amount of traditional sheep myoglobin inside the cells, and we could detect over 100 times more mammoth myoglobin in those cells themselves. So quite a significant portion of what you can see here in front of you today comes from mammoth.
No, the goal here isn't to bring back the woolly mammoth, Jurassic World style. It's to draw attention to what can be done with cultivated meat. Cultivated meat, also called cultured or cell-based meat, is grown from animal cells, meaning livestock doesn't need to be killed in the process. Supporters say it's good for the animals and the environment.
The mammoth has traditionally been a symbol of loss. Mammoths, we know now, were wiped out because of climate change. And we wanted to draw attention to a different future, something more exciting, something where we can eat our way out of extinction.
Don't expect to be eating a mammoth meatball anytime soon, though. The company says it still must go through rigorous testing before it's ready to eat. Reporters in the room said it smelled like cooked crocodile meat. Hard pass.
Spring is a hugely popular time for tourism in our nation's capital, all because of a tree that represents a symbol of friendship between the U.S. and Japan. Notice News breaks it down.
It's a special time of year right now in our nation's capital. Our Washington correspondent Angie tells us why.
Now that it's officially spring and temperatures have started to rise, tourists are all over the place here in Washington, D.C. This time of year is especially popular with tourists because the thousands of cherry blossom trees that line the National Mall are in full bloom. There's even a festival in DC to celebrate the blooming of these trees. What you might not know is that these trees don't naturally grow in this region. They had to cross an ocean to get here. In 1885, world traveler Eliza Skidmore returned from a trip to Japan and proposed to the government that sakura, or Japanese cherry blossom trees, be planted in Washington, D.C. She continued to make the request year after year, but it wasn't until 1909 when then First Lady Helen Taft, who had also spent time in Japan, decided to make it happen. Over the years, the Japanese have sent 5,000 trees to our nation's capital. They're seen as a symbol of friendship between Japan and the U.S.
India has announced the birth of 4 cheetah cubs more than 70 years after the animal was officially declared extinct there. Notice News has more.
When you think of a cheetah's natural habitat, you probably think of the African continent, and you'd be correct. But did you know they used to inhabit parts of Asia as well? The Asiatic cheetah went extinct in India in 1952, but 70 years later, they actually might be making a comeback. For much of the 1900s, India was under British colonial rule. During that time, forests across India were cleared to make room for settlements and plantations, destroying the cheetah's natural habitats. India has recently made plans to house 50 cheetahs in one of their national parks over the next 5 years. The governments of Namibia and South Africa have agreed to donate dozens of these big cats to India every year, and last week, the first 4 cheetah cubs were born on Indian soil. The 4 cubs, along with 20 adults, are being closely monitored in the national park to ensure they acclimate to their new home safely. An Indian environmental official called the birth a, quote, momentous event in our wildlife conservation history, but big cats are still under threat worldwide. For example, a century ago, as many as 100,000 tigers lived in the wild, but today there are fewer than 3,200 of them in their natural habitat. Lions in the last century have lost 80% of their range, and their population is only 15% of what it was. This attempt to reintroduce cheetahs to India marks a significant moment for conservation efforts worldwide.
This is all for this afternoon's announcements. Have a great day and stay classy, Eisenhower. That was really good. I know we switched up somewhere in there.